Alright, today I'm going to be ranking every individual lightsaber in Star Wars, so without further ado, let's get into it. And at the first lightsaber, Count Dooku's. And if you've watched this channel before, you know that it's an easy S for me. I freaking love Count Dooku's lightsaber so much. I think it's so sick. I think the curved hilt is awesome. And I think Dooku is so elegant with it. I mean, his big thing is dueling, so he better be elegant with it, but the way he uses it is just phenomenal. Great lightsaber, easy S tier, and honestly, one of my favorite lightsabers in Star Wars. It'll be hard for something else on this list to beat it, but we'll see what's next. And it's Rey's yellow lightsaber from The Rise of Skywalker. Rey Palpatine coming back to haunt us again. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people would say they hate this lightsaber because they feel like they have to because they hate the sequels, which fair enough, the sequels suck. But Rey's lightsaber, objectively speaking, isn't that bad of a lightsaber. Should it be yellow? Absolutely not. They made it yellow just to differentiate her from the rest of the Jedi in Star Wars, which sucks because she does not deserve that differentiation. But the hilt itself is pretty cool, and I do like that they made it out of the top of her staff. You know, the staff that she originally uses in Force Awakens. I think that's kind of a cool addition. So even though I don't think it should be yellow, and I hate Rey, I am going to put it around C, I think. Just off my first gut instinct. Alright, next up is Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from The Return of the Jedi. Here's the thing. This is just Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber, but worse in my opinion. I think Obi-Wan's Episode 3 lightsaber is better than this one by kind of a long shot. I just think I like the design more. I think it's more, you know, it's more memorable. I don't know. There's no good way to put it. I just find it more aesthetically pleasing. But this one's still pretty good. Like, it's still a cool lightsaber, and it is cool because it was the third lightsaber we ever saw in Star Wars that wasn't the Skywalker saber and Darth Vader's lightsaber. So, because of that, I think I had to put it in B. Alright, next up are Ahsoka Tano's white lightsabers from Rebels, The Ahsoka Show, The Mandalorian, and basically anything after the Clone Wars at this point. These are sick. I actually freaking like these things more than her regular lightsabers. These are A tier for me. I think these are awesome, and I think she deserves white lightsabers more than a lot of characters do. Like, white lightsabers on Ahsoka make total sense. I also really like that there's a short lightsaber and a long lightsaber, like two different sized hilts that do different things. I mean, she has that for her, well, next up are her green lightsabers from the Clone Wars too, so I guess I like them a lot, but I like them a little less than her white lightsabers, but they're still better than Luke's lightsaber. Does that make sense? I think I have to put them A because Luke's lightsaber is worse than these a little bit. So I'll put them beneath Ahsoka's white lightsabers. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. And next up is Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Kylo Ren's lightsaber, I get a lot of hate for saying this. Kylo Ren's lightsaber is S tier. I think it's really freaking cool, and I think it's one of the best parts of the sequels as a whole. I think that it tends to be, again, it's kind of like Rey's lightsaber where people see it and they go, oh, sequel sucks, or the lightsaber sucks. When I was 9 watching the Force Awakens trailer and this thing got ignited on the big screen, I was like, I was like blown away. I was like, that's such a cool design for a lightsaber. I think I'm gonna put it S tier. I love how it's raw, crackling energy. I think that's so freaking cool, and I think that really, really makes it look better. I also like how it's kind of primal, how the lightsaber is, you know, cracked kyber crystal, wires running up and down it. I just think the whole thing's kind of sick. I know it was in Rebels. I know Ezra finds a green one in Rebels. That was the first time it was in Star Wars. But I think Kylo Ren's was well executed, and I like it. Next up is Darth Vader's lightsaber, the man himself, DV. Here's the thing. This is just a worse version of the Skywalker saber. This is like a B. Because it's not very notable. It's not especially impressive. I mean, Darth Vader is great with it, don't get me wrong. But as a lightsaber itself, yeah, it's alright. It's pretty good. It's nowhere near as good as Anakin's lightsaber. Anakin's lightsaber is classic. But it's also kind of intended to look like that. Like, if you look at this and then look at this, you can see the similarities. So it's not meant to be completely different. So I'm going to leave it at B because it's pretty good, but it's not great. It's kind of on the same level as Luke's saber. Next up, oh, it's the subscribe button. Put that at S tier, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, next up is one of these. Okay, there's so many basic lightsabers in Star Wars. I feel like they gave maybe 10, 15 really impressive, unique, cool, memorable lightsabers. And then everyone else kind of got the exact same hilt with like slight differences. So like this lightsaber is basic. This lightsaber's basic, this lightsaber's basic, this lightsaber's basic. They're just all kind of simple lightsabers on this list. And I gotta be honest, I'm gonna put a D. I don't know whose lightsaber it is, maybe Adi Gallia's, I'm not really sure. Again, all the random Jedi kind of have the same lightsaber, so it all kind of blends together. Next up are Evil Rey's flipping lightsabers, the ones that extend. I gotta be honest, these things are pretty cool, but they are just kind of a worse ripoff of Pong Krell's lightsaber. So, I'm gonna put them like C. Like, they would be cool if they weren't such a blatant ripoff of the Clone Wars. And Clone Wars did it better, I gotta be honest. Pong Krell was a beast with those things, so easy C for me, I think. Next up is a Darksaber, and Darksaber is S tier. Darksaber is so freaking sick, man. I love that thing. Everything it's in is so sick. I don't really understand in The Mandalorian why it's so heavy for him. That doesn't make sense to me, and I don't remember that being in other forms of cinema. But at the same time, the lightsaber itself looks awesome with the runes on it. The creation of it was sick with the, what was his name? Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi. I think it's just awesome. I think it's so cool. And the tradition behind it is awesome. How it gets passed down from Mandalorian to Mandalorian to symbol leadership. Freaking love that thing. All right, next up is this one. I don't really know whose this is. I'm sorry, forgive me. But it looks kind of basic to me. Again, it's going to D. Because these lightsabers look very, very similar. There's nothing going for them, and they're not memorable in any way. So again, the comments don't know whose it is, so let me know, because I don't. But I'm going to put a D. I think most of the basic lightsabers are going to go D. So we'll see when we get to them, but there's a lot of lightsabers that are going to go D on this list. Next up is Ezra Bridger's blaster lightsaber. Here's the thing. I really like this concept. I love the concept, but in Rebels, it was so underutilized. The fact that you couldn't have the blade ignited and the gun firing at the same time was a huge downside to me. It was like, okay, you either have a gun or a lightsaber, not both. Why don't you have a lightsaber that can also shoot? Figure out some way to do that. I know you're a techie guy. It's possible. I promise you it's possible. So that pissed me off. Second, it was so underutilized. He uses it like 3 times and then it gets cut by Darth Vader and we never see it again. I think the concept alone drives it to A, but if we were going exclusively off of how much it was used and how well it was used in Star Wars, it'd be like a C. I think it was so underutilized. Alright, next up, the Skywalker saber. This is the legendary saber in Star Wars. It has to go S tier. So many people have held this lightsaber in their hands and used it as their own. It's a symbol of Star Wars as a whole. Alright, next up we have the Inquisitor's lightsaber. And I've talked about this in a few videos before, but I really do not like the Inquisitor's lightsaber. I think the idea of having a lightsaber that spins on its own automatically is just so pathetic, you know? Darth Maul is cool with his lightsaber, his double-bladed lightsaber, because he's so skilled with it and he can spin it manually and still make it look awesome. There's nothing impressive about going... It's just not impressive to me. Like, I really do not like seeing it, and these guys think they're so cool and they do it. Plus, it's a helicopter, which makes no sense. I mean, a lightsaber is a beam of pure energy, so I don't know how it could spin fast enough to carry a being up in the air. It just, the whole thing is weird to me. The whole concept, this is a D lightsaber. I'm not a fan. Ooh, I do not know whose lightsaber this is. Maybe it's Kanan's Jarrus's, actually. I think this is Kanan's lightsaber. Yeah, it must be Kanan's lightsaber. So, Kanan Jarrus has a pretty sick lightsaber. I love the detachable aspect of it. I think it's really smart and a really good way to hide. What's funny to me, though, is that the bottom half of the lightsaber still looks like a lightsaber. Like, you have the top half separated, but it still is like a metal rod like this long that, if you held in your hand, looks like a lightsaber. So, it's kind of pointless because he only separated it in weird proportions. But I'm still going to put it like, I'm going to put it A. I like that thing. I think it's a cool design, and I think it's smart for concealing a lightsaber. Obi-Wan Kenobi's Episode 3 and Episode 4 lightsaber. I am a big fan of this thing. This thing looks sick. It is the best version of Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsabers throughout all 3 movies. Anyone would tell you this. It looks really cool. It was the basis of Luke's design for a lightsaber, and it is the first lightsaber we ever see in Star Wars. I mean, he cuts off someone's arm with it in the first, I don't know, 30 scenes of The New Hope, so look, I'm a sucker for this lightsaber. I'm a big fan. And then speaking of Obi-Wan Kenobi, we have his Episode 1 lightsaber right here, which I'm going to put in B. Yeah, B is a good place for it. I actually have this lightsaber, the hilt of it, and I used to have a blade, but then the NeoPixel part of this broke and I couldn't use it anymore. So I just have it propped in my room, but it's still sick. I mean, guys, holding a lightsaber like this feels awesome. You feel so powerful. You're like, feels sick. Anyway, I do have this lightsaber, and I can tell you, it's cool, but not as cool as Episode 3. I think it's an easy B tier. I think it's up there with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader's, but... Alright, anyway. What are we cooking with next? Next is another basic lightsaber. It's another D saber if I've ever seen one. If you show me these 2 lightsabers, they're virtually indistinguishable. Indistinguishable is the word I'm looking for. These 2 are so similar, and it's just kind of a basic lightsaber. It's a basic Jedi lightsaber from the Clone Wars, some Jedi that we never got closure on. Next up is Princess Leia's lightsaber, and here's the problem with Princess Leia's lightsaber. The design is fine. I mean, it's a pretty average lightsaber, but to me the problem is that Princess Leia should never have had a lightsaber in the first place. Like, yes, I know that in George Lucas's sequel ideas, Leia did become a Jedi, which is fine. The problem with this lightsaber is that it was a total shoo-in by Disney to try to make sense of how Leia could fly through space. Like, she was never supposed to be a Jedi. It was never planned in the sequel trilogy. It was just an easy cop-out to make her, she survived getting blasted into space? Well, she used to be a Jedi. That's how it worked. So, the problem with the lightsaber is that it's a symbol of that to me. And I'm going to put it, honestly, I'm considering F, but, I don't think any lightsabers on this list are going F because a lightsaber is just too cool. Like, any lightsaber, at the end of the day, you say, here, Jed, here's a lightsaber, and you hand it to me in your hands, I'm going to be happy. I don't care who the fricks it is. I don't care if it's this one or Count Dooku's. A lightsaber is a lightsaber. But, at the same time, I'm not a big fan of this one, so I'm going to put a D. Next up is Darth Maul's original lightsaber from Phantom Menace, and that is going S tier. When those doors open and Darth Maul's standing there, he does the little... That is sick. That was one of the best scenes in the Phantom Menace, in my opinion. And Ray Park as Darth Maul was so freaking good with it. This is what I'm saying about the Inquisitor's lightsaber. Darth Maul is so cool with this, and he's doing it all by himself. The Inquisitors are like, ooh, tap a button, ooh. No, Darth Maul is really how you use a double-bladed lightsaber, and that's an S tier lightsaber if I've ever seen one. Alright, next up is another random lightsaber that's going D, because I think that's Plo Koon's lightsaber, but again, looks exactly like this one. Very, very, almost indistinguishable. It's just a basic lightsaber, so I'm putting it there. Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber is next. Qui-Gon Jinn is a great Jedi, but his lightsaber is very basic, I'm going to say. His lightsaber serves no other function. It looks pretty cool, It's one of the few lightsabers that is mainly black. There's not a ton of silver on it. But I think it's kind of a C lightsaber. As lightsabers go itself, that's kind of C. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. So next up is, I do not know whose lightsaber this is. I'm sure it's very easy and I'm just stupid and it's hard for me to see because I'm looking at a big screen and it's tiny. But the lightsaber itself looks pretty basic. It looks a little cooler than these D lightsabers that are basic, so I'm going to put it C with Qui-Gon's. But at the same time, it does not look that great. I swear, I feel like I recognize this from somewhere, but I cannot place where to save my life. Same with this one right here. I have no idea whose lightsaber this is. However, this one also does look a little cooler. It looks like it has cool markings on the side. I feel like this is some ancient Sith lightsaber that I should really know, but I don't. But it looks a little cooler than the C, so I'm going to put it in B. And bang, another basic D lightsaber. Look, these lightsabers right here, indistinguishable. Very, very indistinguishable. They look the exact same. How the frick am I supposed to rank these differently? That's the problem with Star Wars. There was so many opportunities for them to make cool lightsabers that were different from each other. And they're like, no, you know the same lightsaber design? Let's just put it in everything that's not the main character's lightsabers. Like, in the fight with Obi-Wan Kenobi, General Grievous literally pulls out 4 lightsabers, and one of them is Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. Like, Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber hilt, just green. So that was really funny plot hole thing, but I think they could have done way more with the lightsabers for random characters, but that's just me. Next up is the Jedi Guard lightsaber, and this is another example of a better evil Rey lightsaber because this was one of the originals. The Jedi Temple Guard, if you didn't know, have these collapsible lightsabers that are shorter than lightsabers and yellow. So I'm going to put this one in, I'll put it in A, honestly. I like the idea of a collapsible lightsaber, and the Jedi Temple Guards are pretty cool as like a unit, as an entity of people. I think they're pretty sick. So I think the Jedi Temple Guard get an A lightsaber. Yeah, I think that's pretty standard. Guys, I think I'm stupid. Because unless I'm out of my mind crazy delusional, this is Darth Vader's lightsaber. Which makes no sense, because this is also Darth Vader's lightsaber. I think I'm delusional, but at the same time, I don't think I am. These both look like Darth Vader's lightsaber, but this one is different, obviously. Before I lose my mind, I'm going to put this with the other Darth Vader's lightsaber. These both seem like Darth Vader's lightsaber. They have the exact same design, but different colors. I think I'm just crazy, so let me know in the comments. Pong Krell's lightsaber is S tier. Easy S tier. This is the original collapsible lightsaber, and Pong Krell was a beast with it. One of the great tragedies of the Clone Wars to me is obviously, you know, the fall of Darth Vader, Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But onto the real tragedies. One of the real tragedies is that Pong Krell was never in a lightsaber duel. I would have loved to see that guy pop off in a lightsaber fight. That would have been so sick. Because all he did was use it against clones, and that was sick. But a lightsaber duel would have been awesome, so that's an easy S tier. And another S tier is Asajj Ventress's lightsabers. Ventress's lightsabers are also S because, first of all, I'm a sucker for a curved hilt. Your boy loves a nice curved hilt. That alone will put it up there. And then also, in the Clone Wars movie, she can make a double-bladed lightsaber with it by putting them together, twisting, and then she basically had an S. I mean, it's hilarious to see because I could not imagine trying to use that in a fight. It's like, it looks like this. I would not want to wish that upon my worst enemy in terms of using it because I think it would be so inconvenient to have hilts pointing different directions. But she's good with it, so props to her, and it looks sick. So S tier is the way to go, I think. Mace Windu's lightsaber is probably the definition of an A tier lightsaber. You know, it's really cool that it's purple and the only purple lightsaber in Star Wars. I freaking love that. And also, it looks cool because it's gold. Like, the gold on the hilt just looks sick. And the only other lightsaber that I can remember that has gold on the hilt is Palpatine's, which, speaking of which, I don't know why Palpatine's isn't on this list, but you have to imagine it is with me, and if it was, I'd also put it A. Pretend that Palpatine's lightsaber is right here next to Mace Windu's, because that's sick, and I like that he has 2 of them. I think it's cool that there's 2 identical hilts that he uses at the same time. So, Palpatine's is also A, but it's not on this list. And finally, last but not least, we have Grandmaster Yoda's lightsaber. And I think this lightsaber is kind of basic, except for the fact that it's so small. Like, it's kind of cool to me that this lightsaber would be completely unusable to anyone in the galaxy except Yoda and, like, I don't know, Yaddle and Evan PL, Grogu, I don't know, random people. I think I'm putting this one A. If it were a little cool, like, more unique, I think it would be S, but it's not, so. Anyway, guys, this is my lightsaber tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments. Check out this video right here where I ranked every Star Wars lightsaber duel from worst to best. I think you'll really like it, and I'm very proud of that video. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a good one.